like paid media without brand, you're renting an audience. You are going to have to
100%.
go convince them again to buy.
Most of the time, we find that the founder videos that do the best are grainy. It looks bad. There's a dog walking in the background. You know, none of that stuff matters. Good story breaks through everything. I can tell you 99 times out of 100, you drop a solid founder video into an account that just hasn't had it before, and Meta will just eat that up like entirely. You will see performance increase almost overnight. It would be the same thing as you give me a Ferrari, I drive it every day, I improve on it, I do all the things, but I never put oil in it. Am I going to get great performance? Yeah, for a little bit, but eventually that car is going to break down, you know?
Yep.
So the oil is the story.
Alrighty. Well, today I'm joined by Alex, one of our growth strategists here at TBG, and I want to take a little bit of a different direction versus our previous episodes. Running ads, running email, a lot of it's execution based. And when me and Alex were talking, execution only compounds and yields results when I think someone on the back end, like a customer, cares about
Yeah.
brand and sticks around. Um, most brands, not most brands, I'd say the bad brands, the brands that struggle, they're buying attention that they might not be able to hold.
Yeah.
Because there's no story underneath the offer, no story underneath really like the product per se. And I want to make it very clear that like we by trade are not a branding agency, a branding partner, although we have a lot of knowledge base, especially you in all of your 15,
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
years of experience, so you can speak on this behalf a lot. But we are a team that I would say uh, not refuses, but will limit ourselves to run ads for brands that haven't really like figured out their brand story and what they truly
Right.
stand for.
Right.
Because we ultimately are going to be the ones paying for that in customer acquisition costs and
Yep.
in retention rate if there's not story and brand. So that's where I think we want to take the bit of the conversation here.
Yeah.
Every single time we're in accounts, when we like, you could audit an account basically in ads, in email, whatever it may be, or just look at their Shopify, and you can know just by looking at the metrics if their branding
100%.
works and if we are hitting the
100%.
customers and meeting the branding with the customer too as well. So
Yeah.
maybe it's just like talk about how this conversation kind of sparked.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the things that we talked about, and what makes it interesting is that as an agency, right? Like, and I think that it's funny because I always kind of coin myself as the old man of the group, just because I've been doing D2C, ecom, all this stuff for the better part of 20 years at this point. I've I've noticed a very almost obvious trend where when you have a business and you have you have a business, you're selling something, right? It doesn't matter what it is you're selling. You're selling a product, you're selling a widget, you're selling a service. There's a big distinction between when you're just selling something and the team behind it, it's just basically a transaction,
Hmm.
right? And there's a difference between that and someone that is passionate about their business and about their brand, and I love it whenever we, at TVG, whenever we sync up with brands that we tell from day one that this is not just a guy with a line item of things that have to get sold out of a warehouse, right? This is somebody that cares about the product. They've put time and energy into it. They've put their heart and soul into it, and it's so easy to recognize the difference between the two. And like Zach said, like you said, we're not our job is not branding per se, but it would be very dumb of us to come into these situations where we bring clients in and we start to do all the things that we do on the new customer acquisition side and on the retention side, and we don't speak to branding at all, right? Because just like you said, if we're trying to push a widget, if we're trying to sell something and there's no story behind it, there's no heart behind it, it's very, very difficult to do that at scale and also build a brand, right?
Yeah.
Part of like part of what we really try and help our clients is like, hey, we're not just helping. We don't want to just help sell stuff, because that is a piece of the puzzle. But the bigger piece of the puzzle is how do we help you really create a brand that people are going to not just buy from you once or twice, but they're going to be a lifelong customer,
Hmm.
right? And the only way to do that, is like you have to create a story. You have to create
Yeah,
a story.
but let's unpack the story, and I think this is a hard distinction that maybe I opened up this conversation wrong with. We were talking about branding. It's kind of like maybe more messaging because we're not talking
Yeah,
about logo. We're not talking about a mood board. We're not talking like a Figma file.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
talking about why a person chooses, like, why a person would choose your product whenever there's a faster or cheaper one out there, right? Why would they?
exactly.
Why would they
Yeah,
come to you? And so
yeah,
there's
perfect setup. Yep.
yeah, like what you believe in that your competitors don't, and why you have your why it exists, who built it, why did you build it, what problems are you solving, and what claims can you make on this 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 product, this sale, this
Yeah,
service, whatever it is you're doing. And this is actually a huge reason why I do think that we're seeing like founder ads work so well.
hundred
So
percent.
Alex, I mean that's a good segue. We can kind of talk about why you're seeing
Yeah,
founder ads work so well and how we're pushing a lot of our partners on the founder side to
yeah.
create ads and how we're not overthinking them, and the ones that are probably overthought the less are performing the best.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. I mean, founder ads are killing it right now, and I would say it would be easy for me to make the claim that they will always kill it because you can't. So, I'm a designer. I've been doing graphic design, web design, all that stuff, right? And so there's there's certain ways, they call it like putting lipstick on a pig, right?
Yep.
Like there's certain ways to make a boring thing not look boring. That's something. But what we're talking about is when you, just like you said, like in 2026, it's very easy within virtually every segment, virtually every industry, to you have the power of choice, right? Whatever you're buying, you can buy the thing from a site, and you can buy the thing on Amazon. You can go to a store and buy it. So, what is the differentiator that's going to go from me buying the thing on Amazon, to get it in 2 hours versus going to your brand to buy the thing.
It's
And
brand. Yeah.
the differentiator is the human connection, right? You have People want to be connected to people. They don't want to be connected to conglomerates or corporations or faceless entities for the most part, Like they want to know that, everyone is spending they have their hard-earned money, and there's something human about knowing that, hey, when I spend $10 or $30 or $100 on whatever the thing is, it there's a piece of them that wants to be connected to a human being. And so
Hmm.
the reason why founder ads work so great is because it's literally that. It is a founder talking about the story of the brand, talking about the story of the product that they created, whatever it might be, right? And it creates that human connection. So if I'm gonna, if I'm a hat brand, obviously there's 1,000 places where I can buy a hat. But if I know that this hat was made by someone that cares, they love hats, whatever it might be, right? Like there's a story behind it. Well, now there's a connection with that piece, and there's a good chance that I'm going to spend more. I'm going to spend a premium on that hat or whatever it might be, because now I know this isn't just something that I'm going to buy and I get the best deal, but then that's it. If I know that I can be part of something, we want to be part of a community, right? So
It's experience building.
brand,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the experience, it's the brand, so when we work on founder ads or founder videos, or even like putting videos on a product page, right, with the founder, it adds that layer of human connection that people wouldn't have otherwise.
Hmm. Hmm. And on founder ads, this is why we apply so much pressure, I'd say, on our founders is like you can't fake it. And I think people are craving
Exactly.
this authenticity, especially with AI. People are shipping 40 ads a
Yep.
week. And I mean, I would love if our founders actually gave us 40 ads a week. It'd be great. But, uh, you know, would you rather, if I was a founder, would I rather pay out of my pocket creators, UGC people, whatever it may be, to try and convince someone to believe in a product, or would I rather just like talk about the product that I believe in the most organic way possible? And I just made a video on this actually on my personal Instagram, to where if you're a founder and you're watching this, you don't even have to act as the founder. You can just like talk about your product. Like
Oh,
and you don't
absolutely.
have to fake and
Yeah.
be like your own customer or anything. Like you can literally just talk about the product and how you've been using it and how it's affected people's lives. And you don't always have to take like a founder angle with you doing it. But if you're a successful founder, I would probably argue and put money on you could talk about your product the best and the most fluent way
100%.
in a way that a client, or sorry, not a client, a potential prospect would
Yeah.
see the value in it rather than
Yeah.
briefing and scripting and going through all this process to make the
Oh,
same level
100%.
of ads, you know?
And that, yeah, that brings up a great point. I mean, I literally just had a conversation with one of the guys in one of the brands that we manage, and he was asking the exact questions. Okay, I told him, hey, we need, I really want to get some founder content from you, because I know your product. It's not just, I mean, your product. You have a really cool story behind your product, and what business owners and founders forget all the time because they're living in their brand
Mm-hmm.
is that nobody knows this story, or very few people know the story. And so literally all I told him was, I'm not going to give you a script, I'm not going to give you direction, I'm not going to tell you speaking points, and I don't want a call to action at the end. I don't want you to say, hey, now buy this. I literally just want you to get your phone, prop it up on a water bottle, and just talk about why you started this brand
Mm-hmm.
and why you created this product. And he did, he sent me a video. It was like 5 minutes long, and it was perfect. There's no, whenever you have something that is authentic and original, and it's not salesy, you're not pushing something, because at the end of the day, we all know, right? Like, we're on social media, we know that we're being, we're seeing UGC content, ad content, all that kind of stuff, and there's a layer of like understanding that, hey, we're being sold something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, that's just an understanding. But when you get a founder to really sit down, not be busy, and just share their heart, then there's no creative that we can build that's going to beat that. There's
Yep,
no
exactly.
strategy, there's no landing page, there's no bells and whistles, there's no upsell, there's no any of those things that's going to do better than someone that loves their product talking about their product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, it's a win every time. And like, what's funny is the quality is irrelevant. The edit, the cuts are irrelevant. Most of the time, we find that the founder videos that do the best are ones that are organic, real. They came from the founder's phone. They usually text it over to us. It's grainy. It looks bad. There's a dog walking in the background. Like, none of that stuff matters,
Mm-hmm.
because good story breaks through everything that you would do as a designer and a creator and a strategist. All that kind of stuff, all that stuff goes out the window, because you just have the story and it's real,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you can't
Yeah.
fake that.
Yeah, no, I love it. We'll get a little bit technical now. And like I was saying, I think we're able to spot when a brand needs work on messaging and brand, even if they have a good product, by just looking at numbers and metrics.
Yep.
When we say like a brand doesn't have a story, like what do you think that looks like in the ad account? Like, what are some common things that we're seeing where we
Yeah.
think we need to have that conversation with the
Yeah.
partners?
Yeah, so typically what we see, and because the way we do, our ad structure, and like working alongside with, like, I always like to say that you really want to treat Meta like a business partner,
Mm-hmm.
not like an employee, right? Meta has billions of data points. It knows people, blah blah blah, and so the thing that is very easy to kind of distinguish, with a brand that is missing those pieces, is that Meta is gonna go through all of your ads, and it's gonna figure out, where do I spend this money, right? And so the first thing that it's going to go towards is, what is the most engaging and authentic content, always. Meta knows that. It has the algorithm. It's going to find it. It's going to spot it, right? So, if you don't have founder content, typically the next round is going to be UGC, like human content, people talking, whatever. If you don't have that layer, then most of the time the next layer on top of that is going to just be like straight up like offer ad, right? Like 30% off, 50% off, BOGO deal, whatever. Does it work? Sure, to a degree. But at the end of the day, again, you want like to have a solid account that is running and working and scaling. You have to give Meta the tools to help create that customer journey,
Hmm.
because the way that you ran ads 5 years ago was not this way. It was very much transactional, like it was like the BOGO, the 50% off, whatever, because Meta didn't have the tools to basically create that customer journey. Now, Meta absolutely has those tools. So what you have to do is you have to basically give Meta the foundation and the pieces of your brand and your story, so that you're not just relying on an offer or an incentive or a deal to close it. You really want to build the entire customer journey. That's why when it comes to a really solid founder video, I can tell you 99 times out of 100, you drop a solid founder video into an account that just hasn't had it before, and Meta will just eat that up like entirely. And I can almost guarantee you that you will see performance increase almost overnight, because Meta is because you can't have a better customer journey than starting with a really solid founder video or a really solid piece of content that is directly from the founder. I mean,
Hmm.
it's unbeatable.
Hmm. And we like I know you've already spoke a little bit about some particular clients, but like walk me through, in addition to like founder videos, and maybe we can talk about how we've been able to overcome some objection with founders, because obviously everyone's extremely busy, right? And that's like the
Yep.
last thing that I think people are really thinking of. Uh, Everyone now just wants to make like a billion AI creatives and just like hope for things to work.
Yeah.
When that honestly is like one of the highest leverage things that I think that you could do. Like even in our business, all three of our founders are making ads every single week. Pat and
Yep.
Cannon, every single day, they're making multiple ads because of just how much we're spending, of how much we want to grow. And that should just
Yep.
be like the front headspace of all of our founders. So I'd say if there's anything that you have like had healthily pushback from either founders and then being able to successfully get them to create ads, would have been some like tips and tricks. And for founders listening,
Yeah. Absolutely.
what would you give? Let's start there.
Yeah. So super easy. I mean, I've had this conversation. I've had this pushback. I want to say that 80 to 90% of the brands that we bring in, there's pushback because of exactly what you said. I'm too busy. Obviously, with hiring us, our job is to do our job, right? And so the it all comes down to perspective. It's the same thing. And well, let me back up a little bit. So the thing that I bring up all the time is, okay, let's just talk about perspective and let's talk about return, right? So if you can just imagine, you have your schedule, you do your things, you've got stuff in the calendar, you gotta figure out your inventory, you have to work, you have team meetings, you have this, you have that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Would it not make sense for any founder if he knew that I could spend 30 minutes or I could spend an hour during the week and put it in my calendar and not have any distractions and get this thing done in order to create what is arguably the best piece of content that you could have for your brand. Um, and that 1 hour could essentially create you, I mean, it obviously depends on the product, right? But it can generate you hundreds of thousands of dollars
Hmm.
with 1 hour of work.
Hmm.
What smart founder and what smart business owner would not put that return in,
Right.
right? It would be like, okay, you have the opportunity to invest. You know, I came from the future, and this is 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and I said, hey, all you got to do is put a couple bucks in Bitcoin. Just trust me. Put it in there, put it in Tesla stock, whatever, and it will pay off exponentially over the course of days, months, weeks, years, whatever, right?
Hmm.
It's the same thing. Like being able to put really good founder content in your calendar, getting it done, and especially if you can do it, once a week, a couple times a month, just like you said, Zach. Everybody in the team, this is part of your work life now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you not invest in 30 minutes or an hour when it could pay off exponentially and have a snowball effect to affect your entire business?
Yeah.
It's silly not to. And whenever I break that down, there's literally no reason why any founder's like, yeah, you know what? I mean, there's no argument because there is no argument. It
Hmm.
is just a fact, you know. So I would say to any founder listening, any business person, you know, in any situation, there's no better return than spending a little bit of time once a month, once a week, whatever, to just tell your story and
Yep.
get it out there.
I love it. And that's exactly what it is. And it's not overcomplicating it. It's literally just telling your story. For example, I think Alex Hormozy came out with a video that said he spends 3 to 4 hours a day on content, with majority of that
Yeah,
obviously being ads. They also crush obviously organic, and he has an insane team. But you don't need that. To your point, I think it's effort and intentionalism
yep,
behind it, and then our job is to tie a dollar amount to that and then show them. And I think that's extremely,
exactly.
extremely valuable for them to see that, and kind of opens up their eyes to like timing and stuff. One thing that I want to hit on too as well is like email's huge in this entire sequence.
Yeah,
Email is really where I think like the story compounds. And if you haven't run email successfully in the past and you were just like training your customers to just do discounts, and you're maybe sending a couple emails a month or maybe a couple of emails a week, and it's all discounted based, you're going to
yeah,
have a hard time telling your story, and you kind of need to rethink your entire process, and probably need to, not going to say start from scratch, but like rewarm your entire audience.
mm-hmm.
But like ads will introduce your story, but like the flows and the campaigns are really where you're going to build your relationship outside of organic social. That's like a given that you should
100%.
be running
Yeah,
that. But seeing your email as a social channel to continuously tell your story. And this is why we have so many emails from the founders in all of our email flows that are just text based, and
yeah,
they absolutely crush. I wish I had data up in front of me, but those in, I believe, the welcome series are converting the highest, and you know,
yep.
right next to beautifully designed emails, because it's directly from
It's
the
the
founder
same. It's
in
the
their
same
voice
principle. Yep.
from them, and it's the exact same principle that I think people's inboxes are just flooded with, design promotionals, and they just
Yep.
want to tie the product that they are about to purchase with the why. And
Yep.
that's our intention behind those emails, and they absolutely crush. So like the overall kind of argument, I think, to just round out this is like paid media without brand, you're renting an audience. You are going to have to
100%. Yep.
go convince them again to buy. But with brand, every dollar buys a transactional slice plus like equity of that person's lifetime or lifetime value.
Yep.
And that's really what we're doing with brand, is we're trying to earn equity in their small portion of their day, whatever they're consuming, whatever it is, so we can earn that. Anyone can go out and duplicate a product, but it's really hard, if done well, to duplicate a brand in an experience.
Yep.
Yeah, and just to round out this entire conversation, because this is how we apply it in our everyday workload, is because story and brand messaging is one of those like invisible factors that we are like silently being graded on, because it shows up in
Mm-hmm.
conversion rate, it shows up in obviously new customer acquisition costs and retention rate. And so we as a partner can do absolutely everything from a strategy perspective to have, like 100 branch tree of post-purchase email flows. But
Yep.
if someone doesn't believe in the brand as much as the founder, and you are convincing that person, uh, as if you're the founder, to believe in the products and the brand, we could do absolutely everything in the world to convince them, but it's going to be very, very hard, and we're going to feel like we're
Yep.
swimming with our hands tied. And so, not a lot of people talk about this. I feel like in performance marketing, it's all about
Oh,
the
absolutely.
tips and
Yeah.
tricks and different
Yeah. The
attributions.
fast wins. Yeah. The
All
get
about the
rich quick
fast wins.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
mean, again, I'm an old man. I'm big on connecting different stories, but like it would be the same thing as you give me a Ferrari and I drive it every day. I improve on it. I do all the things. I make it pretty. I put the sound system in. I do whatever it is, but I never put oil in it, right? Am I going to get great performance? Yeah, for a little bit, but eventually that car is going to break down,
Yep.
So the oil is the story. I mean, you have to be pumping this thing in. There's not going to be an instant. You're not going to notice it. It's not going to be an instant thing. It's under the hood, but it's real, And if you're not constantly telling the story, you may get a little, you're going to get down the road, but eventually that thing's going to break down. In order to build something that lasts, you have to be constantly oiling, putting things, in the, you got to be working on that engine,
Hmm.
because if you build it and you don't have the stuff under the hood going, then it's going to die.
Yeah, 100%. And this is why it's like a balancing act when it comes to advertising, because you want to catch people's attention, obviously, but you don't want to uh, diminish your story and
Yeah.
devalue your brand. So it's a little bit of a push and pull. But just ending, I feel like without story, you're just in the noise. And obviously, with AI tools and more brands popping up every single day in the industries that we are involved in, the noise is just getting louder and cheaper every single
Yep.
quarter. And I think the brands that win in the next 5 years are the ones that give people a reason to choose them before there's ever a dollar spent on media or on
100%.
acquisition,
Yep.
because retention is going to be so much more important in the future, even though it always has been. And that's why we really grade ourselves on, NCAC to LTGP cohorts for the entirety of all of our brands, and look at that as both a lagging indicator to then project for the future.
Yep. 100%.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for jamming on me today, dude.
Yeah.
That
Of
was sweet.
course. It's fun.
Dude, that was awesome. I like that. A lot of good buzz
Good,
stuff in
good.
there.
Awesome.